Everybody, thank you for stopping in. This is Derek, aka No One on YouTube, and I appreciate everybody clicking on my video. And we have a special show this evening where we're going to interview the Caudle Brothers music. It's comprised of two brothers, Mike and Phil Caudle, and their drummer, Peter Conigliaro, because that's Italian, correct?
Very good. Very good.
Okay, so you know,
A,
Capiche.
a lot of
Conigliaro.
people,
Okay, I need to get him a
a lot
suit.
of people screw that up. Mine and my sister's high school graduation, we were Conigliaro.
Oh.
So props to you for getting it on the first try.
Okay, cool. I feel good about it then. So, so it's good to see everybody here. And I kind of wanted to just talk about the band in general. Um, why don't you tell us a little bit about your band? And Phil, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, this kind of came out of like the COVID scenario with everyone, all the venues shutting down, and then the years of peer pressure of me and Mike's family telling us we need to make music together.
Mm.
And it finally took us having nothing better to do to start making music together. Um, And it kind of started out with us kind of like we didn't know where we wanted to go with it. So we did like some short originals, some like lesson, like, videos where we tried to explain like scales and music theory
Yeah, I
and
saw.
how they relate to guitar. Because I watch not a ton, but a good amount of music theory channels. And a lot of them are geared like they use piano as kind of like the structure source to show everything, which is good because pianos are very visual. Um, but I know plenty of guitarists who probably wouldn't be able to translate that back to what they're doing on a guitar. And that was kind of the inspiration from there. And then I just got the urge to write a Metroid Prime melody or medley for it. And that kind of like kicked it off because even though nothing's been as successful naturally as that has, it kind of cemented where we were going from that point.
Well, that's pretty cool. Now, I know before this project started, um, you and Peter were in a band, The Realm Between, and
Yeah.
Mike for, I guess, was it 7 years or 9 years that you were in after the minor?
9 years.
It was 9 years that you were in the band. Um, what happened with the Realm Between? Was it just it didn't work out, and then you needed like to start something new? Maybe I'll go with Peter.
Yeah.
There were um there were a couple of what would we call them? What would we call them? Fallouts? I don't even know what we would call them.
Mm,
Um,
that'll work.
yeah. Our lineup inexplicably changed out of the blue when one of our guitarists dropped off the face of the earth for a minute. Um, we were in the process of trying to record and put out a full-length LP that completely vanished into thin air and was never heard from again.
Wow.
Um, and when we were trying to get our band lineup figured out, we actually had a guy picked out that we were beginning to start rehearsing with. That was when the whole lockdown thing happened, and that was kind of the nail in the coffin. I think, Phil, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean that that kind of brought any momentum that we had left, like any vestiges of forward motion with that project, to a very abrupt halt. Um, so yeah, and it was unfortunate. I guess for me in particular, because the Realm Between for the longest time was my baby. I that was the band that me and a group of high school friends formed back in winter of 2012. So
Oh wow. So you're a founding member.
yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that that would be your baby.
Yeah, a little
Had
bit.
that for quite a while.
Yeah. Um, Phil and I ended up meeting in 2016 when one of our original guitarists left the group, and Phil has a way of changing the dynamic of everything he does for the better. Um, uh, and I'm glad, even though the realm between ended up ending the way that it did, that Phil and I were able to stay in contact and continue pursuing other musical endeavors together. I love this guy to death, and I'm learning to love Mike a little bit too.
That's awesome. And speaking of Mike, so you were in because After the Minor is still kind of performing nowadays, right? A little bit?
Maybe under the guise of a different name, but two of the founding members have started their own thing called Dug In, and
Okay. Yeah.
they're going a completely different direction, maybe something that they wanted to do initially. So, I'm glad they're out there doing their thing again, and I've got this with Phil and Peter, and yeah, like it seems like everyone's things have kind of come together at different times, but as far as After the Minor, that kind of fell apart at the end of 2019.
Gotcha. So it seems like everything was just kind of like right before the pandemic. How,
Yeah, like almost coincidentally
yeah,
convenient. Because I know for a fact that if uh the pandemic happened, we weren't gonna be like, oh yeah, let's just take a quick hiatus for 2 years and see what
Yeah.
happens.
right.
Because a lot of those guys have kids, all of them have kids, so
Oh, okay.
they kind of became more family centric at that point. So um yeah, there was no way that the band was surviving that hiatus.
Right. Now, Phil, you mentioned that I guess other family members were encouraging you and Mike to work together. Was it other family members or?
Yeah, it's I mean Mike can attest to obviously like our cousins, aunts and uncles, even our grandparents to an extent when they were alive. Um Ever since I started playing guitar really, like 12, 13, like you and Mike should jam together, make a band or something. Like I was still living at home and Mike was off doing his thing, and like I think when he joined After the Minor, I was still like under 18.
Oh, wow.
Like me and Mike's age gap is pretty far apart. So I mean I don't think the circumstances allowed it anyway, but by the time 2020 hit, like we were
Yeah.
both adults. We had already like kind of became friends after years of, like he went off to college, he did his thing. I was at home with the parents. So after, you know, I got married, had a kid, moved out, did my own thing, and me and him kind of kindled up a really good friendship, together. And then COVID happened. It's kind of like the perfect storm to kind of birth whatever we do now.
Yeah.
Technology just allowed us to kind of do our thing from a distance.
Yeah. And, it seems like with different bands and artists that I know that they took advantage of that time to work on certain projects, then sometimes even work on themselves and their family. So it's very interesting that you all got together right before that time period to start this journey that you guys are in. Now it's can I ask why are you guys ever planning on getting like a bass player?
No.
Or
No,
yeah, you want to keep it like a trio.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I
think,
feel we
I
work
was
pretty
very
smooth
emphatic,
together.
so I kind
right.
of want to hear the answer now.
Yeah,
So why?
I think if we ever do anything, because there are a couple of projects that I'm working on right now in the writing aspect that include a lot of bass feature stuff, but I think the idea is just to keep it as that. Like if we need somebody to do a feature, then we'll call somebody to do a feature. Beyond that, I think I think this is the lineup as far as this project goes, at least until their brother Bryce decides to pick up drums and they decide to kick me out to keep with the whole Caudle Bros continuity thing.
I didn't even know there was a third brother.
Yeah, well, remember that name because it's going to be written in the stars one day.
Well, I don't know. I watched two of your drum playthroughs today, and I put a comment on there today too. But yeah, you're a fantastic drummer. I mean, you're
Oh, thank you.
awesome. So I don't think that they're going to replace you anytime soon.
I'm always so subconscious of like not the notes that I decide to play, but like how I look when I play them. So I'm like, I'll go back and I'll watch some of that stuff and I'll be like,
Oh no, if you've got the stank face, that means it's good. If you're trying to be a poser or something like that in the camera, it ain't gonna work out, you know.
right.
So no, you look badass. So around like 2019 when that happened. Now, okay, the song Deceit. Now, Mike was telling me when I was chatting with him one time, because you guys got Jeff Jenkins to do the vocals on that, and we'll get into like how you guys got introduced to him and how he came into the project. But that was a song that actually originated from the realm between, correct?
That's
Yeah.
right.
So it was kind of like resurrected with your project now,
Hmm.
the Caudle Brothers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think it's Mike's favorite song from the TRB era. It was the first song I wrote for the Realm Between, and I wrote it before they officially recognized me as a member.
Ah,
Um, and I still remember writing it. Me, my buddy Kurt, and his stepdad had to drive down to Florida because their family was like liquidating their furniture and they were taking it. And so I went along for the ride to help, and I just sat in the passenger seat with my headphones on, writing a song. And so then the next week when I went to their band rehearsal again, I was like, "Hey guys, I wrote some music."
yeah, that's crazy because it's not you weren't writing lyrics, you were just writing the music, correct? Or were you
Yeah,
writing both?
that's right. I ended up writing both, but it was just the
Later.
instrumental at first. Yeah.
That's a pretty interesting story. So there and back, right?
Yep.
Well, I feel privileged then because I live in Florida. So you
Oh,
came,
really?
you came to my
Right on.
state and wrote the
Yeah,
song
to
and
write
went
a
back
song.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, once you guys did start, because which one came first, Transcendence or Deceit?
Creation Transcended. That one
Creation
was
Transcendence.
first. Yeah.
Okay. So how did you guys get with Jeff Jenkins, who if anybody knows Jeff Jenkins, and I'm gonna say it right this time, Mike, but he was in the band Speed God. I'm trying not to
There
have a
we go.
try not to have a dyslexic moment like I did the other day. And then also Gwen Stacy. And I know that there was another band like over 20 years ago that he was in. But so how does everybody here know Jeff? I think Mike's known him for a long time. So I don't know if Mike introduced him to both of you or just in the scene if you guys have known him for a while.
So I'd say I met Jeff first, and it was because of the local scene. He had started Speed God with his wife Ivy and uh, his buddy Sean and Bone. So once we started playing shows with them, we just kind of got tight with them. And then my buddy Chris ended up joining Speed God. Sorry for the cat interrupting.
Phoebe's right next to me, so
So once our buddy Chris joined the band, they kind of started going on tour and he invited us on this tour. It was like a 4 or 5 day kind of thing. So we just kind of got real close after that. And excuse me, we've always kept in contact. And it was another one of those coincidental crossroad things where we had a song written where Phil came over and it was like an 8 hour purge of his mind into the laptop. He just wrote the song. And then Jeff came back onto social media and was like, I'm looking for something to do. So I tossed him that song idea and he was on board.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he was surprised to have something just churn out to him that quick and also the length of it. I don't think he'd ever anticipated a near 10-minute song.
Right. Now, Peter, because you were in the realm between with Phil. So when was it that Phil kind of like approached you about being a part of the Caudle Brothers music?
So I've been doing a bit of behind the scenes work with these guys more or less since around the time that you guys started it. Um, it was I think the first project that they had me was the Metroid Prime medley, the first one that I worked on with you guys, or was it the I couldn't remember if it was the shoot for the Lamb of God cover that you guys did.
I believe it was Metroid because I recall Phil talking about having you kind of comb through the drum and
Yeah,
making sure it's like good.
yeah. I mean, Phil puts a hell of a lot of work into the actual like melodic arrangements of things. So, and rhythmically, he writes some stuff that's super interesting. So that generally makes my work at tweaking the drum parts pretty easy because I've got a pretty good idea of, what sort of sound that he's going for. Um, so Metroid was kind of where it started, and then I filmed a music video with them, and then Minda's Lament was the other one that I did kind of off the record before last year was kind of when we really made it official. Um, it just seemed like the right time, I guess.
That's cool. Now, now as far as like the music is concerned, because you guys do video game soundtracks,
Mhm.
correct? So,
Yeah.
who came up with that concept, and how easy or difficult was that to start it?
So I've been listening to people like make metal covers of video game songs for a while. So there's like Family Jewels and Rich Odd EB, and like Dr. Pez is a really good one. That dude's a phenomenal musician,
Oh
and he
yeah.
just puts video game covers on the internet.
Oh, wow.
And so like I had already been like watching these people make these, and Metroid Prime is just one of those things. Like I didn't know if we would release it or not because I wasn't sure what we were doing with like our channel and our group, and I wasn't sure if we were going to solely focus on YouTube content or move over to like releasing things on Spotify at the time because we had nothing on streaming services at all. So I just kind of like wrote a metal cover uh to see where it was. You know how like inspiration just reaches down and kind of takes you. So I did that and we recorded it. I would have Mike over. We would just plug into my interface, and I was trying to mix all our stuff at the time, but this was just so special that I was like, we have to find someone who actually knows what they're doing
Right.
to do it.
Yeah.
And we got Joe Santangelo to mix it for us. And then we showed what's his last name, Mike?
Which one?
The Geoff, the music video that we recorded for
Jeff
Metroid.
King? Jeff
Yeah.
King.
Yeah. We showed him and he was like, we got to do a music video for this. And he only made us pay for like the parts for the set. So like he was just so fired up about it that he was like, if you can just buy what we need for the set, like we're good. We'll film this. And we filmed it, and it's been really the only one that has just hit the YouTube algorithm and been on a decent sized Facebook page and like gotten a whole lot of traction. And kind of like what I said before, like that situation just cemented like, why don't we just keep doing this?
Hmm.
Like there's a niche for it. People like to hear it. It's far away easier than like releasing original music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for sure because like there's a nostalgia aspect to it. There's like a popularity aspect to it, and then like we just get to riff on songs that we already know, we grew up with, or we're playing currently and stuff like that. So it just kind of made sense to continue down that road of just like, let's make a bunch of music covers. Let's make them the way like we want to hear them, that no one else is doing them the way we do. Because as much as I love listening to other people's like video game covers, I love listening to our video game covers. Like there's just something like this sounds exactly the way I wanted to sound, you know. And then other people listen to it, and I think that's the coolest thing ever. So
I think Mike said that there's certain countries where it's really popular too, where you guys get a
there-
lot of views. Where was that country at or countries?
Brazil is a big one.
Yeah.
Really?
Mexico and Brazil love us.
Yeah, I have a friend named Leo that lives in Brazil, so I got to ask him about it. And he's younger than me, so he probably would have been like a gamer back then with a lot of that. So I'm a little what's I guess uneducated with the gaming thing. But so this is all very interesting to me. Now, as you guys were coming together, then the pandemic happens. So what were some of the challenges, let's say in those 2 years, 2020 to 2022, before like it really started opening back up again? What were some of the challenges that you guys had to face in those couple of years?
Oh man. So in that time, I believe I had to move. I believe Phil ended up moving. He had a child. He had a job transition. I had a job transition. I was also attending college. So, like, we had personal things that we kind of had to take care of in front of just doing this on the side. So, I know that we just had a lot of constant variables happening to us on top of trying to, get something cohesive out to the internet. And it felt like there was times where we weren't doing much of anything, but we just had a lot of stuff going on in the background and also on the side. So there was a lot of that we had to kind of, deal with.
Yeah. Peter, what were some of the challenges that you had to face?
So 2019, I had just graduated college, and I'm so glad looking back on it that I graduated college before the
Well,
pandemic.
congrats.
Because, yeah, that would have been awful. I would have dropped out if I had to deal with both of those things happening at the same time.
Right.
No, but I graduated college, and I spent the better part of that summer in 2019 going into 2020 kind of building a bit of a local reputation as a freelance drummer. And I had been hired by a couple of groups. I was playing a lot down in Detroit and in the Flint area. And there was one band that had hired me to do some live session work with them that had just done I think they had just done a buy-on to go on a 2-month run with Census Fail. And, then lockdown happened, and then all of that got canceled. Most of the groups that I was playing with aren't even together anymore. So that happened, and then the health complications and job transfers. I mean, there was a lot of struggles that happened during the lockdown. But I mean, also a couple of joys. I got married in that time. I bought a house. So you take the good with the bad, I guess.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So we talked about how you guys, got with Jeff Jenkins and wasn't there like another guitarist that you guys got with, or am I thinking of Jeff and his project getting together?
That's probably Split Fuse.
Okay. Not
We
the
had a featured guitarist on Deceit, Mike. It's
Yeah.
Oh,
Bhloom.
yeah.
Bhloom,
is
the
he
guy
like
you know.
Indian? Isn't it his name like Bhloom or something like that?
Yeah.
Him?
Yeah, his name is Prabhu Raghunathan,
Okay.
but he goes under the name Bhloom. It's much easier to remember.
Definitely much
Uh,
easier to remember. Now,
say that name again.
Prabhu Raghunathan.
Okay, real talk. That one's much cooler.
Kind of, yeah.
it is, but it kind of makes me feel like Jafar when I was like, Prince Abubu. But anyway, yeah, I'm really bad at chopping up people's names, especially like when it's not American, so I'll stick with Bhloom. Now, how did you guys meet him and get to know him? So he only played on Deceit for you guys?
Mhm.
Okay, so it was Geoff Jenkins on vocals and then Bhloom came in. Okay.
Yeah, he just kind of was a secondary addition to this. And he did an excellent job. And I ended up finding him on YouTube,
Oh,
and we ended up hitting it off like immediately and talked back and forth. And it's kind of how it came about is like I showed him a song that we had, and he was just like, "Man, you got to get me on this." And yeah, he like within a day or two, he had a lead piece written for it.
oh wow. A day?
I'd say a couple days at the most, but yeah, it was pretty
It
damn
was
quick.
fast. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. At least he didn't have to drive to Florida, right?
Yeah.
Um, Now, who would you guys like to work with in the future if you guys were to, have a choice of working with somebody?
Oof.
Somebody you know, or maybe somebody you
Hmm.
haven't met yet.
It's a good question.
Like,
I mean, I know Mike wants that singer from
If
that
you
one
say it.
band.
Oh, Cheney?
Yeah.
Yes, I was just gonna say on Entheos, right?
Yeah, like I know she could do really well with something original that we have, but that's for another time.
Yeah. Well, her vocals are sick.
Yeah.
Her vocals are sick.
Yeah, you did
Uh,
that reaction video.
yeah. Yeah. And I did check out like one thing prior to that because you were the one who recommended me to go check them out because I love females and rock and metal and stuff. So yeah, she's sick.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
okay, so Mike said somebody. So what about Peter? Who would you like to work with?
I would love to get proficient enough at writing piano solos,
Cool.
to warrant somebody like Charles Cornell to play it.
Oh,
I know that's a bit of a
sounds
stretch, but I think that like you get Charles Cornell to feature on uh, a metal video game cover because he does video game theory videos all the time. So if it's good enough, he'd be into it. I
I'll
don't
have
know.
to
I
look
feel
him
like
up.
something like that, like you would know that you've arrived if Charles Cornell is featuring on your content.
That's awesome. So if you're watching, Charles, yeah,
Yeah,
get a
that's
hold of
right.
him. What about you,
like,
Phil?
comment, and subscribe.
What about you, Phil?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, if I had to pick, so if we did like a Crush 40 song, which is from like the Sonic Adventure area games, like if we did that, getting someone like Jonathan Young
I knew
on
it.
vocals would like be sick. That would be awesome.
Who's
But
Jonathan Young? And educate me.
yeah, Jonathan Young does like he's like in tangent to what we do, except he's way bigger. But he does a lot of like metal Disney covers and anime intro covers.
Uh-huh.
So it's in the same vein, but he's definitely more well known as like a vocalist, even though he's a multi-instrumentalist. Just insane range. I mean, the dude can sing. He's he's awesome. So if I could have anyone, I'd do like a Sonic song with Jonathan Young on vocals.
Okay, well then I'm
That's
gonna have to check him out too. I
Who
love
is that
I
guy
love being
that you've
introduced
sent me who
to
has the
genres.
mustache?
Huh?
Who's that one vocalist that I see who he's got like that big curly French mustache and he tends to do like metal covers or he sings really
Oh,
well?
the guy from the Music Mansion?
I think so.
Because I think he was in season what you're the one who introduced me to that too. Mike, you introduced me to a lot. I'm just gonna start calling you
Yeah.
an influencer because you influenced me a lot. Um, But yeah, I forgot his name. But yeah, he was in season one of the Music Mansion with Jared Dine. Is that what his name is?
Jared
Jared Dines.
Dines. Yeah.
Dines. Okay. Yeah. So so let's talk about like something current of what you guys are doing. So you guys just released a single, the Boggly Woods, is that what it's called? Tell us a little bit about that for anybody who may be ignorant of games or for those that absolutely know about games.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So Paper Mario is an RPG game, which is role playing game, which means a game you level up and then you put your level up points into a certain stat. And because it's Nintendo, it's very simplified because it's supposed to be played by kids and stuff like that. So it's not super complex. Um, but it released for the GameCube back in early 2000s, probably. And the GameCube is what I grew up with because Mike had one
Hmm.
while I was a kid with Tony Hawk Pro Skater Underground 2
Oh
Hell
wow.
yeah.
Yeah, that goes back.
and
Exactly.
Smash Brothers Melee and Paper Mario and um I I was actually playing through Thousand Year Door at the time, and I got a new virtual instrument pack called Lores that has a shakuhachi
A what?
sound in it. Shakuhachi. So it's a traditional Japanese flute.
Okay.
Shakuhachi. And it has that in it, and it just so happens Boggly Woods and the original piece has the shakuhachi in it. And I was like, I gotta write a cover of this because now I have the sounds that I need to like make it super authentic.
Yeah.
Um, and and it turned out super good. We had Mike won a contest from a a friend of his named Kevin who has his own like record thing where he mixes masters, he
Okay.
releases
Cool.
for people. And he won a contest for a free mix and master. And so we recorded that, got it finished, sent it to him, and he did a phenomenal job because not many people are like mixing traditional Japanese instruments and bells and
Chimes.
yeah, celestes and stuff like that. And so it's gotten a very eclectic grouping of instruments on top of like the guitars and everything. And it turned out so much better than I thought it would too. So, but yeah, it's definitely a good part of my childhood.
When Phil sent me the guitar profile with the original drafts for that one, I was like, how in the world are we going to pull this off? And then we got the final mix of it. I was just like, sorry I ever doubted you.
The great Phil.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Mike also mentioned a couple other songs. He says that was really popular, and I was listening to them again today. So, he mentioned that "Stained." What is it? "Stained by My Curse." He says that
Yeah.
Correct.
it's the most popular right now, and then he also mentioned Midna's Lament. So, what? Tell me a little bit about "Stained by My Curse."
That's Peter's baby.
Yeah.
It's my
Yeah,
magnum
that
opus
is.
with this trio. I remember Phil was over at my house in February last year before I officially joined their ranks, and I had mentioned to him, I was like, "Listen, I don't know if you've ever heard of this very popular video game called Elden Ring. It's one of the games of all time. They're putting out a DLC this summer, so it would be a really wise idea from like a marketing perspective if you released something around that time."
Oh,
And
wow.
then they called me to be a part of this project, and that was the first thing that I started working on.
That's pretty awesome. And so, so that became like the most popular. But then, What about Midna's, is that what, am I saying that right? Midna's Lament?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that, the process of coming up with that song.
Oh, that's
I'm
for
trying to think.
Phil.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think of that time when I did it. I was because I think I think I was just trying to do something Legend of Zelda because everyone does something Legend of Zelda, so it's like, but everyone does Ocarina of Time. I feel like from the Nintendo 64, so I wanted to be a little bit different and do a title from the GameCube. Um, and Mike like really, what is it? It's the Song of Healing,
Oh yeah.
right? That Mike loves the Song of Healing. So while I was doing it, I wrote down that song, and I'm very much inspired by like Iron Maiden and Dragon Force and kind of like the new wave of British heavy metal type thing where there's like always two lead guitarists and they're always riffing off of each other. And it just so happens like the Minda's Lament, like that clean guitar piece,
Yeah.
that like ascending arpeggio is just it's great for flexing a more like feely type solo, which are things that like I really wanted to work on after like TRB ended and all that because like I just wrote really like straightforward like play as fast as you can and do
Yeah.
a bunch of sweep picking and run your scales forward and then run them back and stuff like that. So it was like one of those songs where you listen to it and you're like, I could do a lot with this and I could do a lot differently than what I have been. So on top of being a really cool nostalgic tune that had a lot of space to add my own personal flair, it also challenged me as like a lead writer to write solo pieces that really complemented the feeling of the song. And it just it turned out really awesome. It was like I wish we would have had time to get like real drums on it, but the drums are programmed, but Peter wrote them, so they've still got like his stamp on it.
There you go.
But when you're doing stuff like YouTube and Spotify and doing content creation, like you want to get stuff out in a timely manner. So having deadlines on stuff definitely helps like keep you on track. Because I think if you look at our like YouTube upload history, but before Midna's Lament, like there was like a year and a half gap of like nothing.
Yeah,
It's
like
either
a
before that or before
lesson.
Melee.
Yeah.
There's just like this huge gap of time where me and Mike weren't doing anything. And then, like he said, like life happens.
Mhm.
But once we picked it up again and started doing like stuff and wanting to get it out quickly and wanting to, make this a focus, like Midna's Lament was kind of born out of that, like want to do something special, do something that people will know, and also do something challenging, kind of merging at the same spot when we were, starting to get serious about our direction that we were taking our group in.
Yeah, and you mentioned like putting out content. So how what's been the role of social media uh with the content that you guys have been putting out? Peter, let me get your thoughts first.
I don't know if I'm the right person to ask. I don't
I was just
usually
thinking that 'cause
vocals.
Mike told me that you're not the most social media kind of guy.
No, not particularly. I'm kind of a creature of the shadows in that regard.
Well, I don't blame you. Sometimes it can be toxic out there. So
It's yeah.
Oh
I,
yeah.
I try to avoid it best I can. Um,
but just like in
Phil,
general,
this might be a better one for you to answer, man.
just like in
Um,
general, not necessarily like you being on social media, but like
well, okay, so like when we put out I can offer this, I suppose. When we put out the Stay by My Curse, the Elden Ring medley that we did last year, um, there are a handful of like From Software. From Software is the developer of that game. So there's a handful of like From Software meme pages like on Facebook and Reddit and stuff like that. That usually just post absolute like garbage to one another. I say that as a fan who follows all of them, but like the the ones that we were actually able to like get through the admins of those pages for and actually post that video to, like I want to say that that's probably one of the reasons why that video or that song got as popular as it did compared to some of the other stuff that we've released, is because like, there are community, if you know where to look,
Yeah.
and center your hands-on advertisement campaign, not necessarily like through the like the money that you're putting in towards the push, but like the old-fashioned grind of things, that's super beneficial. It's coming from me, who again like is very rarely on social media anymore, but I do remember there was a lot of discussion on those pages that I followed after we put that video out there for them.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Phil, what
Yeah.
what do you think about social media's what's the word that I want to use? Not just influence, but its role, I guess you could say.
So as far as like the delegations I have in the group, social media's biggest role is pushing out ad content.
Okay.
So I am the meta ad person. So I'm the one who figures out how to run the ads, how much money to put towards the ads, what targets we put on the ads, what parts of the song, more or less, that we put on the ads. Because we run Instagram, Facebook. So like, and that's another reason, like, Stained by My Curse does better than like when you watch people on YouTube who talk about YouTube ads and like pushing their music out through it.
Mhm.
Um, they'll generally tell you to look for like 40 cents a click. Like if you're doing better than 40 cents a click, like for music, that's pretty good. Stained by My Curse is constantly between like 12 and 16.
Okay, that's good.
Like it just does awesome.
That's yeah.
And so every time we release a new song, I create ads for it. I run it. It doesn't do as good as Stained by My Curse. So after a month, once that song has reached monetization status on Spotify, I just revert back to running Stained by My Curse because it consistently does so well. And I mean, I kind of know why that is. Elden Ring is a huge game,
Yeah.
and so people like that kind of content. Mike sees the comments on the ads all the time when he's on Instagram, and people just eat it up. We've got like comments that say like W ad, like like
Ad?
like W as in like win or
Yeah.
whatever, like it's just like stupid slang, like brain rot.
I'm like, W ad, doesn't that spell wad? I'm like,
Wad.
now you mentioned Spotify, so that's an interesting topic too, because when I had my chat with the guys, the singers from As the Structure Fails, I didn't put up like our private conversation up on YouTube because that's the one part that they wanted me to cut out. But just, in general, it's, bands, it's hard to make a lot of money from the streaming services. So how has that helped you guys?
Spotify?
Yeah. What? Sorry.
What was that? I'm sorry.
My cat behind me. I'm like, what is she doing?
Oh,
She's going crazy. It's
yeah.
like, it's just Spotify.
So I think Spotify is a good way to like garner an algorithmic process,
Okay.
I think. So like as we push people towards that through the ads and we push them through Spotify, people save the songs, they add them to playlists, and then like our highest playlist streams on Spotify is through radio, which is an algorithmic playlist that we have no control over. So
Right.
that's just a playlist that's like, hey, you like these, and other people who like these also like Caudle Bros music, or you listen to this and you liked it, so here it is again, and we're gonna play it for you. And like we constantly have, between 8 to 10 songs on rotation through that playlist, and
Oh,
we don't put any money towards radio. We have no control over it. And
right.
so as that grows, and my whole thing was like the last time me, Mike, and Peter sat together, like I wanted to shift focus to Spotify, because as people who are doing things that are a bit different from the rest of the metal industry, which is like release an album, tour on it for 2 years, go into this, studio, release another album. We're just releasing single after single, or like mini EPs for medleys and stuff like that over and over again. So what Spotify will does is we have an increase in followers who then get fed our music all the time through the algorithm, through like radio play, um, and mixes and stuff like that, of that nature.
Yeah.
And as it grows and as our catalog gets bigger, people will cycle through more of those songs. So we slowly, as we release song after song, eat away at more people's time. you know,
Yeah.
as it pushes that, and you have to look at it as a slow burn. Like, no, we're not gonna, make a bunch of money, overnight from Spotify, but that's not really the point.
But it is putting you out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, today, when I checked, we have 908 followers on Spotify,
Nice.
like, and so whenever we upload a song and pitch it, like that gets put on their release radar. And, for Deceit, like, 40 people listened to Deceit on their release radar. But then after Deceit, we grew a little bit. And then for Boggly Woods, 60 to 70 people listened to release radar. And the next time we release something, it'll be 100, and then 200. And soon enough, like, release radar will be our monetization. Like, we'll be able to get monetized just through the algorithm. And, it's self-perpetuating, but that's why you want to release, here's 6 songs a year every other month or something like that. And then doing it with what we do, which is nostalgic tracks and, stuff that we grew up loving, or stuff that we're playing right now, like that feeds into people's want to listen to it. Like, I know sometimes I get the urge to listen to a metal cover of a Pokemon song.
Oh, nice.
Like, and I know when I do that and I go online and look at it and I see like the views or the streams that the thing that I'm listening to get, I know that other people are they're looking for that too. And so, it's a niche
Yes.
in music that, like, it's not so overtly like drown out by so many people's voices that you can't get like really loyal followers on it. Because even like the realm between, like, we played shows and we mingled with other bands, and we released demos and stuff like that, and we never got anything on Spotify, and our followers on Facebook were like 400 or so, at the very end of it. And that was, what'd you say, Peter, 2016?
2016 was when you joined, yeah.
Yeah, so like that was 3 to 4 years of like really hard work and lugging gear everywhere and
Yeah.
playing in hole in the walls down in Detroit and yeah, like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and
To a crowd of 10.
Yeah.
yeah, right. And if we headlined, it was just the owner, like you know, and then like a lot of we went down to Toledo and had to drive back in a snowstorm at 2 a.m. Like it's just
In
like things like
April.
that, right? In April.
In April.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was the middle of spring.
right. So it's just like things like that where it's like, okay, that something's happening here that's like we don't seem to be getting really any traction. And then we start doing this and we throw a couple bucks on a YouTube ad and throw some money towards meta ads and stuff like that. And all of a sudden we have like the same guy commenting on every video and people just listening through release radar and they hear us on these algorithm playlists that they want to hear us and they want to hear what we have to release and stuff like that. Like it's a whole new ball game,
Yeah.
and it's just like I'm here for it. I love it. And as much as I love playing live music, like it can be a hassle to just tear your things out and go play and be out until midnight 1 a.m. and then like you get a high five and dude, that solo was sick. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, but now what?
Right.
I have all these exposure dollars and nothing to spend them on.
Now, before we wrap this up, I think Mike had told me a little bit ago that you guys are working on a new video, or you guys are going to, or did I hear that wrong?
We have a lot of music in the works, but as far as a video, I think we have sort of like an idea for something in the future, but nothing cohesive right now. I
Okay.
think like we should put out a lot of videos, like even if they're just little shorties to throw on YouTube and get
Yeah.
some steam rolling. But yeah, as far as like a music video, I don't think we've sat down and thought about one quite yet.
Yeah, I think shorts play a huge role on YouTube. And then you can get some good ad revenue as well from the shorts.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen it yet, but I don't put out that many shorts in all honesty. But if you guys were gonna if you guys were to do some shorts on YouTube, um, what would you guys do? Like maybe like in the studio or just pull out your guitar in your home studio and be like, hey, because some of the shorts that now you can do like up to 3 minute shorts. I don't know if you know that YouTube kind of like changed that. It went from 60 seconds to now you can do 3 minutes.
Yeah.
That's not a short. That's just a video.
Yeah.
A vertical
Yeah, I
video.
mean,
We've come full circle.
yeah. So let's say you kept it for 60 seconds. What would you do? What in your mind, what would you like to do? So maybe like we can look for that in the future.
I would just like, playthroughs with the track overlaid on it. Stuff like that. Because one of the things like doing a professional music video costs money.
For sure.
And we could do professional music videos and release 2 songs a year, or we could just do homemade videos and release 6 songs a year. And when you're talking about like the speed in which you release stuff, even to YouTube, and I've watched videos on this, like people would rather watch a bad quality music video with good quality music on it than
Yeah.
watch a good quality music video with bad quality music.
Yeah. And
You
I
know,
noticed a lot of bands nowadays, like even if they put out like a full album, they'll have what's called like audio or official visualizers now.
Mhm.
Have you noticed that? So
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
you don't need to have, and when I said music video, I didn't mean like a what do you call it? Like
Full produced
yeah, I
video.
just
Yeah.
meant just content in general, like to put out because in all honesty, sometimes those visualizers are awesome, you know.
Yeah.
They come with like lyrics, like official lyrics visualizer or something like that. And you know, you don't need to have like this full production with a storyline and this and that and blah blah blah. Sometimes just getting to know the band and just seeing them play. I mean, that's the most important thing, really, is
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've been thinking because that's what like I was like if we all just record like our own stuff, like I know how to use Adobe Premiere or like Mike has found pretty like decent work on Fiverr for like not a lot of money. So like we could just take clips of the song and get someone to like hash it together for us. Like you said, it doesn't have to be like super high quality, but like seeing people play the music and stuff like that, that definitely feeds into like people wanting to connect with you, and wanting to comment on your videos and stuff like that. So I want to do that. I don't know if we're talking about our future releases, but I think like something for Chemical Plant like that would be super cool.
yeah.
For any of the upcoming stuff, really, like just cool videos or even Mike said shorts, like just taking a riff from a song and playing it. It's
Yeah,
like 20 seconds. There you
it'd be
go.
as simple as just like diddle, 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 diddle. You play your thing and then
Yeah.
give it some tags and throw it on YouTube
Mhm.
Shorts, and you do
Just
that like once a day.
just like that
Yeah.
one guy that reacted to your song, like I can still picture his face in my mind right now. He has got the glasses, and it was like during the part
Oh
where
yeah, Breakdown Central.
yeah,
Yeah.
him. And I can still picture his face in my mind from that reaction, because I think I've seen it on Instagram and I've seen it on YouTube. So, just a little short like that can make an impression, on the fans or somebody that's just discovering you. So, but yeah, so thank you guys for taking the time for doing this. I really appreciate it. For everybody that I hope you all enjoyed this. These are the Caudle Brothers music. We've got Philip Caudle, Mike Caudle, and Peter Conigliaro. Conigliaro. And the all of their links are going to be in the description. So please go on their YouTube and subscribe. Please go onto their social media sites, Instagram. I believe you guys are on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, correct? And you're on
Correct.
Spotify. And so all those links are going to be in the description so that everybody can click on those and you can follow and comment on their stuff. All of that helps the algorithm and it helps out the bands, especially in today's world where everything is digital. You really want to support the bands as much as possible. And so thank you guys very much for joining me here. And this is Derek, aka No One on YouTube. And everybody have a good night. Everybody, peace out.
Peace. Thank you.
Like, thank you.